Every dream begins with a question. What if? What if we could touch the sky? What if humans could fly like birds? Most people laughed at such ideas, but two brothers, Orville and Wilbur Wright, didn't laugh. They believed, and their belief changed the world forever. This is the story of how two ordinary men, born in a small town, turned an impossible dream into one of humanity's greatest achievements. It's not just about airplanes. It's about vision, courage, hard work, and faith. Lessons for anyone who dares to dream. Wilbur and Orville Wright grew up in Dayton, Ohio, in a simple home filled with books, ideas, and curiosity. Their father, Milton Wright, was a bishop who encouraged his children to think deeply and ask questions. Their mother, Susan, was a creative woman who built toys, made kites, and repaired machines herself. It was from her that the brothers inherited their love for invention. One day, their father brought home a small toy helicopter made of cork, rubber bands, and bamboo. It could fly for a few seconds before falling to the ground. Young Orville and Wilbur were amazed. When the toy broke, they didn't cry. They built another one. That simple toy changed the course of their lives. They began dreaming, not of toys, but of real flight. As they grew older, the brothers opened a small bicycle shop. They repaired bicycles, built new ones, and sold them. The business gave them money. But more importantly, it gave them skills. They learned about balance, control, and mechanics. The same principles needed for flying. At night after closing the shop, the brothers talked about flying machines. They studied birds. They read everything about flight. The works of Otto Lilienthal, a German glider pioneer who died testing his gliders. Lilienthal's death didn't scare them. It inspired them. Wilbur once said, "If birds can glide for pay, long periods of time, then why can't I?" The world said flight was impossible. Scientists laughed at the idea. Newspapers called inventors of flying machines crazy dreamers. But the Wright brothers didn't care what others said. They cared about the truth. And truth, they believed, could be discovered through hard work. In 1899, Wilbur wrote to the Smithsonian Institution asking for all available information on human flight. They began experimenting. They built small gliders and tested them like kites. Their first trials were failures. Their gliders crashed, the wind destroyed their wings, and sometimes they got injured. They went to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, a lonely place with strong winds and soft sand, perfect for testing. The journey wasn't easy. They had to carry their gliders, tools, and dreams across miles of sand dunes. When their first glider didn't lift properly, they didn't give up. They measured wind, changed angles, and built a better one. When that failed too, they didn't lose hope. They said, "Every failure is a step closer to success." Can you imagine their nights, cold, windy, and lonely, yet filled with quiet determination? No money, no team, no fame. Only two brothers and a burning belief that humans could fly. For years, they faced failure. People mocked them. Even scientists said, if man were meant to fly, God would have given him wings. But the Wright brothers believed that God had already given humans wings, in the form of imagination. Each failure taught them something new. They learned to build a wind tunnel to test wing shapes. They calculated lift and drag. They became the first true aeronautical engineers. Though they never went to college, in 1902, they built a new glider that could finally be controlled in the air. It wasn't perfect, but it was real progress. They knew they were close. Wilbur told Orville one night, "Next time, we'll not glide. We'll fly." On December 17, 1903, the The sky over Kitty Hawk was cold and windy. The brothers prepared their powered airplane, the Wright Flyer. It was made of wood, cloth, and courage. They flipped a coin to decide who would fly first. Orville won. As he climbed into the machine, Wilbur held the wings steady. The wind howled, the engine sputtered. Then it moved. 12 seconds. 12 seconds that changed the world. The Wright Flyer rose from the ground, stayed in the air for cakes 120 feet, and landed softly. Orville looked at his brother with tears in his eyes. Wilbur shouted, "We did it! We really did it!" That moment was more than flight. It was human will taking off. They made 4 flights that day, the longest, lasting 59 seconds. It may sound short, but it was the first time in history that a machine carrying a man had flown under its own power, in control and sustained flight. They had done what the world said was impossible. When they returned home, nobody believed them. The press ignored their achievement. Some scientists said it was fake. But the brothers didn't care. They had proof. And they had purpose. They improved their designs, built better planes, and flew longer distances. In 1905, they stayed in the air for 39 minutes. By 1908, they flew in front of crowds in France. And the world finally believed. The same people who once laughed were now cheering. The same voices that doubted them now called them geniuses. But the Wright brothers never sought fame. They stayed humble. They said, "We didn't invent flying. We just learned how to apply God's laws to flight." Their dream was never about glory. It was about possibility. They believed that when you combine faith, discipline, and persistence, you can rise higher than you ever imagined. The Wright brothers' story teaches us more than history. It teaches us how to live. They started with nothing, no investors, no college degrees, no big laboratories, only their belief, curiosity, and never-ending effort. They worked day and night, faced wind and failure, and never gave up. Every mistake was a lesson. Every setback was a test of character. And every small success gave them wings to go further. They showed the world that dreams need patience, not just passion, courage, not just comfort, faith, not just logic. Because if you only believe when it's easy, you'll never fly. But if you believe when everyone doubts you, you'll change the world. Even after they succeeded, the Wright brothers continued to improve, innovate, and inspire. They trained pilots, built stronger planes, and laid the foundation for modern aviation. Today, every airplane that takes off is a living proof of their dream. Every time a jet crosses the sky, it whispers a word message: never stop believing. Wilbur once said, "The desire to fly is an idea handed down to us by our ancestors who looked enviously on the birds soaring freely through space." He was right. Flight was more than science. It was the fulfillment of a timeless human dream. And the Wright brothers taught us that the sky is not the limit. It's the beginning. So, what's your flight? Maybe it's not an airplane. Maybe it's your dream to start a business, write a book, create music, build technology, or change lives. You might fail again and again. People might laugh. Doors might close. But remember the Wright brothers. They failed hundreds of times, but they never stopped believing. Your dream may look impossible now, but it only takes one success to make it real. Every invention, every breakthrough, every miracle starts with someone who refuses to give up. The Wright brothers didn't wait for perfect conditions. They created them. They didn't ask for wings, they built them. So rise, dream boldly, work patiently, fail bravely, and keep believing. Because one day, like those two brothers from Dayton, your moment will come. Your dream will take flight. And when it does, the whole world will look up and say, "There goes the one who believed." This was the story of the Wright brothers. Two men who taught the world that with faith, courage, and persistence, even the sky is not the limit. If you believe in your dream, keep working for it. One day it will rise, just like the first airplane did in 1903. Never stop dreaming, never stop trying, and never stop believing that you too can fly.